The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back. Bronx Roots. And I'll let David Hubler introduce Michael, just to be on the safe side.
Michael with a hard-to-pronounce name, Preminger, is here, my good buddy, going all the way back to junior high school. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
Good. Michael, the three of us have enjoyed each other now.
The weather here, yeah, I'm talking to two Californians. The weather here has been very windy. It's very March-like, but sunny. It was 36 degrees this morning when I woke up. It's very frustrating because the flowers are in bloom, the cherry blossoms are in bloom, and yet everybody's freezing.
Now, what part of Virginia are you in?
There's three different baseball games where it said it's the lowest temperature that they've played in certain cities in years.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
32, and with a wind chill factor.
Yeah.
Have you seen the face masks these guys are wearing for warmth?
Yes.
It seems to help, and I think some of the new age equipment have a certain thermal effect that keeps the heat in. But wow, can you imagine? Football you can play in the cold, but baseball is such a skilled sport. Your hands getting cold can affect things. Right.
And swinging a wooden bat in that kind of wind, especially a ball coming at you close to 100 miles an hour, that's got to sting terribly.
Oh, yeah. As kids, we've all had that where the ball hits the inside, not the sweet spot, down by the handle. But with that kind of temperature, crazy.
I've never seen a baseball player
this year.
I've never seen a baseball player with earmuffs.
Right.
And if you recall, growing up in the Bronx, if you wore earmuffs, you were considered a kind of sissy.
Yeah.
Well, how about mittens? Do you guys remember your mothers dressing you up with mittens as a kid?
Yes. Mittens attached with a safety pin to the sleeves, so you wouldn't lose them.
Or one of those little clips.
But I hated those hats. They used to make these, and I'd get a new one every year, practically. They had a little brim to them, a little peak, and then they had roll-up earmuffs that would roll up onto your head when you didn't need it. And if it was really cold, you'd take your hat off, and there'd be a flap inside, a cloth flap to cover your ears, and then the earmuffs would come down. That was like for blizzards and things. So I hated
the gloves. You'd get leather gloves, and you'd play in the snow, and you'd come in, and the gloves would never be the same again.
Never, especially if you put them on the radiator.
Oh boy!
Yeah, it was.
I never remember
fun.
Wearing. Go
what?
ahead.
No, you go ahead, Michael.
Oh, I don't remember wearing a hat. I think I've mentioned, I never liked hats, even when it was, I'm sure when it was terribly cold, maybe I even wore earmuffs, but don't make fun of me. I don't. But I don't remember wearing hats.
Oh, I did. I had always brown. For some reason, the brown hats with earmuffs and this little flap on the inside to keep me especially warm. Now I love to wear hats. I have this great collection of hats.
Oh, do you? Yeah.
Yeah. And my son Jeff out near you, he's got a pretty good collection of hats himself. My pride and joy, I was on a press trip to Utah, and we went to this big, cavernous, open pit mine. I think they were mining copper, and we all got a hard hat with our name on the front, which we got to keep. So I mean, not too many people have a hard hat with the name on it. So that's.
I'm just curious, David. What style hats do you wear?
Baseball caps usually. I do like those what they call the taxi cab hats. You know, the Irish tweed hats with the short brim. And, you know, those are nice. I love those. Yeah.
Do you wear berets at all?
No berets, but I do have a nice Texas sombrero. Not sombrero, Texas, sort of like a 10-gallon hat, which I wear when it's really cold and snowing out. And I also have a wool. It's a corduroy cap, green corduroy cap with it's faded green, and on the front of it is a Soviet era pin commemorating the great socialist October Revolution with a little picture of Lenin on it. It looks like something that Lenin would wear, you know. If you remember pictures of Lenin.
You wear that to Indiana and they'll bury you right there.
Oh yeah. Try getting on a plane with it.
Right.
I think a lot of guys wear baseball hats. Just and maybe I'm wrong. Older guys who are bald to cover.
Yeah, well, that's what a yarmulke is made for, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
but
at least you guys aren't making people laugh with the bald head and the greasy ponytail.
Yeah.
Guys, with that, it's the ultimate in bad look. However you go in life, if you go bald, God bless you. But don't wear a ponytail. That calls attention to it. Makes you look like a jerk.
It does. I agree completely. Yeah.
Well, just for that, I'm cutting mine off this afternoon.
I had to influence you somewhere. I hated to embarrass you. I saw the pictures. I saw the videos. And you'll thank me later. It's tough love, Mike.
Yeah. I'll thank you now. What the heck? Why wait?
Yeah, what the hell?
Thank you, Ralph.
All right. You're welcome. Hey, I've got two grandpas on the line. I'm not yet a grandfather. My son is 27. What with his upbringing and family experience, he probably will never think about it.
He's vowed for celibacy.
Right. Not a celibacy. He goes to a meeting for it.
Oh, no kidding.
No. No, he's. I doubt I'm just doubting very seriously if have kids, and if he'll have kids, which means I probably won't have grandkids. That's okay, because I have two friends right with me here who have the grandparents' experience. And first, I want to ask you both: were you partially raised by grandparents? I'll start with you, Michael.
I never knew my grandparents.
Okay.
My father's parents were killed and lost in the war.
Right.
And my mother's parents passed away before I was born.
Okay.
So I never had grandparents.
David, yourself.
Well, my father's parents were both deceased when I was born. One fairly close to when I was born. But on my mother's side, I had a grandmother and a grandfather, and it was I only had my grandfather for about the first 12 years of my life. But he was a wonderful guy, and if I ever needed anything, he was a very strict disciplinarian with his own children. But I was the oldest, the first grandchild that he had, and I got anything I wanted. I mean, it was wonderful. I wanted a basketball one time. He took me up to the remember Hijinks on Jerome Avenue? Took me up there, and bought me a basketball. Another time, For some reason, I had to have spurs. It was very important living in the Bronx to have a set of spurs. and
well, when you go on the subway, it really
yes. Oh, you want a seat? You want a seat? You put your spurs on and you get a seat.
Yeah, lady, right.
Yeah, and there's none of this man, what do they call it now? Where they stretch their legs apart to take two seats. You put spurs on the IRT, and boy, you've got a seat pretty quickly. But he was wonderful like that, and unfortunately he died the same year of my bar mitzvah, several months earlier. And my grandmother was wonderful too, and I think I told that story that she was not my real grandmother. She was my step grandmother. But she was venerated in the family. She lived well into her 90s, and she loved to watch boxing on television, Friday night fights. And she was born in Long Island City, so she wasn't an immigrant. I don't think her parents were born there, my great grandparents. But she was terrific because she lived on the ground floor apartment, and so when the kids would play ball outside, if the ball went into her bedroom, which is right by the window there facing the street, she would save them for me. I didn't have to go.
Oh, wow.
I didn't have to go fishing down in the sewer like some of the other kids did to get it.
Very nice.
Yeah. I got so many Spaldings and Pensy Pinkies that I.
Now, if you're listening, Spalding doesn't have a G at the end of it. You might think it does.
No, it's EEN, Spalding.
Spalding.
I have one upstairs that I've saved. Yeah, that was the name of it, right on the ball itself. You're right, Mike.
It didn't say Spalding?
It said Spalding.
But it was never pronounced Spalding.
No, it wasn't.
G was
No, it was never. No. And if you were to write it out, it was with the EEN. Spalding. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I always thought it was.
Right, yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you guys the key question. How did your parental experience differ from your grandparenting experience? Your relationship to the kids, this, that, and the other thing. David, you mentioned that your grandfather was a totally different person the second time around.
Yes.
He was a strict disciplinarian with his kids.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much the opposite with you.
With me. Yep, absolutely.
Now, did he revert back to how he was with, you were the firstborn
grandchild,
male, as was I. Was he different with the other siblings?
You mean my group?
Your grandfather. Was it just you that he was that way with, or with all the kids?
No, I was the first, and I think my sister was the second, but he didn't have the affinity for her. Not that he was mean or anything, and he enjoyed seeing us all the time. But I guess my sister didn't make any demands on him either, when I think about it. So he was, and the other grandchildren as they came along, from my two uncles, they both lived in the D.C. area, so they didn't get to see them as often as my grandfather and grandmother didn't get to see them as often. And of course he died when most of them weren't even born yet. So I was the king of the hill, frankly, which was very nice for me because,
Well, David, you still are.
Yeah. And I still have my spurs, by the way, so be careful.
It's a mindset, being the firstborn grandchild, especially the male, it does become a mindset.
Well, I remember when our son Robert was born, my parents had died. In fact, my mother died in May, and Robert was born in June. And it was we were living in England by then, and it was a tough time. But I do remember was Becky was in the hospital and she gave birth to Robert, and she said, "Call my mother." So I called long distance from England to Queens, New York, and I said, "Hiya, Grandma." And she said, "Who is this?" she was a little paranoid and very suspicious of people on the phone.
That's a great story.
Yeah, it was true. Who is this? I mean, it wasn't like she wasn't expecting the baby, but I found the experience, and I've told this to other people. I may have even mentioned it to Mike a while back, but I found the experience of being a parent versus being a grandparent was totally different. I think you're so wrapped up in being a parent and doing the right thing or trying to do the right thing that when it comes to your grandchildren, you can step back a bit because you're not doing the daily raising, and right. You can be absolutely in awe of these little creatures, and as they mature, you think, wow. I mean, he's talking already. I mean, little things like that you watch for when you're a parent, but when you're a grandparent, these things become miracles.
Right.
I agree 100%. I'll be with my grandchildren and my daughter, and my grandson's 5 and my granddaughter is 2. And she'll say something, and I go, "Isn't that remarkable?" And my daughter will say, "Dad, she's two. She's been talking for a year now." And I go, "Oh yeah, you're right." Like David said, everything becomes. Look at that! She put her finger in her nose. What a wonderful child!
Yeah, it's true, and of course, it gives you a perspective on your fragility in this universe, and I have 2 granddaughters, and the problem is we don't have a male heir. My only cousin, who's named Hubler, although he pronounces it Hubler incorrectly.
Really?
He has 2 daughters too, and so the line ends there, unless my younger son Jeffrey can come around and provide a male heir one of these days. So who knows? But that's a funny story too. My cousin Jack, who was also raised in the Bronx and went to do at Clinton a number of years before I did, before Mike, and his side of the family has always pronounced it Hubler. So he was in advertising for many years, and if I would give him a call in New York, the secretary would pick up and I'd say, "I'd like to speak to Jack Hubler, please." Jack Hubler, I'd say, "Can I speak to Jack Hubler?" And she said, "Who is this?" And I said, "It's David Hubler." And she never picked up that it was the same name. As long as I called.
That's funny.
Yeah.
My name until I went to kindergarten was Tikachinsky, Tykocinsky.
I had a feeling you were named after the train, the little electric trains.
Well,
you mean that was your name instead of Ralph?
That was a good name.
That is a great line. So he has it shortened, and he pronounces it all through his life, Tico. With a direct shortening. But everybody else in the whole family, the kids, every Tycho. We were Tycho. But we were Tico to him. He's the one. But we never picked up on. I don't know why everybody didn't pick up on calling it Tico.
I would think a total stranger would say Tycho right off the bat. Just like
I understand, but if it was Tikachinsky before, it wasn't Tycho Chinsky. It was, English was like a 7th language to him. The most fascinating guy. Escaped the war and went to several different countries to do it, and had to assimilate in these countries to a certain extent, at least learn conversational languages that wasn't Yiddish.
Was Dick Kaczynski spelled with a Y or with an I?
With an I. He was a Polish
that would make a difference. Yeah.
David, getting back to grandparenting, were you much of a disciplinarian yourself?
With my kids?
Yeah.
Looking back, Becky and I think we did the best we could. Our kids think we're horrible. No, they don't. They think. I don't know what they think, frankly. Robert.
Because I was not, and there were times, and I think I should have been a little stricter. Like when I let my daughter drive the car and she was only 7, I thought that was probably.
She wanted to do it, right? That was,
when you have a girl, they can whatever she would ask for. You would just look at those eyes and go, "Oh, okay, honey. You want to go to the prom? You're 9 years old. Go ahead. All right, we'll get you dressed." And with my son, who was, I look back. He would, after games, he would always want something to eat, and I have a feeling there were some parents who would look at me like, because I wasn't strict enough. I'd say no, and he thought that was a foreign word, actually. He never understood what that word actually meant. So I had to leave it up to my, I don't remember I never spanked, never touched the kids, anyway.
Well, I actually have to admit that Jeffrey and I had a couple of real go-rounds.
I had go-rounds when my son got older, but not when he was a kid.
Well, I once actually reverted to washing Jeffrey's mouth out with soap.
My mother would do that with me every morning, just in case I said something during the day.
Really? It was prophylactic? She did it in advance?
I know you're going to think about saying something. Let me
Here goes the soap
out right now.
Where's the life boy?
That's like, oh boy, that was pretty. That's great. Do you remember what brand of soap? I'm just curious.
No, Ivory, I would think.
Ivory is a good brand to wash.
We didn't have much.
Dove is too. It's round and it doesn't.
It's hard to hold on to if you're sticking it in somebody's mouth. Yeah, Lifebuoy was square. You could. Yeah, and it was red. Oh no, lava soap was very caustic. You wouldn't want to do that.
In case you really got dirty.
But Jeffrey remembers all this stuff like it was yesterday. So, soap on a rope.
Soap on a rope is not good to wash your child.
No.
But speaking of yesterday and being grandparent, my daughter and the family were out of town last weekend, so she had a little Seder for us. We had a Seder yesterday. Because my grandson wanted to wear one, and then he wouldn't eat anything that was served, which was regular, but he would have eaten the entire box of matzah if we didn't stop him. But my granddaughter at one point just tossed her whole plate onto, she turned it over. And that's when you realize, 2-year-olds, and I just sat there, I kept eating, which is what I always do. But it's like, so you're not, I would never, unless it was something terrible, of course, I won't say anything as a disciplinary.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
like,
tough.
It's not my.
Yeah, there are grandparents that intervene on all this stuff all the time. We have.
Oh no, I won't. My daughter asked me, did she do this? And I don't remember.
Huh.
There's specific things I might, but then there are others I don't. So it's a good question as to what's the difference with grandparent two. At some point, you go home, and like last night, they had to deal with getting the kids to bed, and I went home and watched a very boring movie. So it's
Yeah.
Did you guys
I watched.
Did you guys have separation?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Boring.
No, have not seen it. But did you? What's the word? When empty nest syndrome. Did you guys have that when the kids grew up?
No. We were celebrating for a week.
No.
Oh, man, we had a party here like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, that's funny. No.
We sent tuition checks in advance so that they wouldn't have any chance of leaving,
Gotcha. And I must ask you.
I did. I still do. But, yeah. Well, that's also because I'm alone. If I was married or living with someone, it may. So I do have a very empty.
Oh,
nest.
sure.
Yeah. But I'm lucky. My daughter lives 10 minutes away.
Good.
So
that is
still driving.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah,
she's still driving.
You, Michael, you're in L.A. A car is almost a necessity. Am I correct? In L.A.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think. Yeah. You're speaking of they have. There's transport. There are buses, and then there are certain buses for. You can call. They're not long bus. They're like station wagon type. That's SUVs, right?
Yeah.
Where you can call and they come and pick you up.
Oh, like Uber or something.
Yeah. And it costs like $2 or something, and it takes you where.
Oh, really?
It makes other stops. So you can get around. Is my answer, but certainly it's not as convenient as having a car, which is why so many older people won't give up their cars.
Right.
And they really should.
Right. Did you guys learn to drive in New York, in the Bronx, or after you had been grown up? Did you drive in the city is what I'm asking.
I never did.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I even I took my driving test, the one I flunked, the first one. We were and I remember distinctly because we were driving under the L, right on River Avenue, with Yankee Stadium off to the right, and I went right through a red light because the lights were mounted on the pylons of the what you call it, a subway, but it was the elevated IRT line, and I didn't even see it. I just went right through it, and even though I parked right and I did everything else, they flunked me. Well, that's sort of standard for the course, I would think. But but what we didn't really have driver's ed the way they do now. We had like a hygiene course or something. One semester instead of gym, you got to take this. This was in high school, and you got to take this sort of all-around health. They didn't teach any sex education, even though it was like an all-boys school. You could teach whatever you wanted, pretty much. But they didn't do that. But they did. They had a cursory driver's ed, but you never got behind the wheel.
Us the same. Right, they teach you the rules a little bit, and,
right.
And my family didn't have a car, so
mine either.
I learned to drive when I came out to California.
Oh, yeah. No, my father used to take me up to Yonkers on like a Saturday morning, and we drive around the streets up there. He was afraid to let me get out on Jerome Avenue. and drive there. But that's where I learned to drive from my father. And I taught my sister, I taught Becky, my wife, I taught my cousins how to drive, and the boys, of course, and Robert and Jeffrey both learned to drive on a stick shift, because I had a stick shift in those days, which I think was a great idea, because once you learn how to drive a stick shift, you can drive just about anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it develops.
When I first came to Los Angeles, I used to wait, and this is true, I would wait, especially if I was going over one of the canyons, which was very, very curvy. And I would try very much to go when it was during heavy traffic, because then I knew I didn't have to go very fast. No traffic, I'd stay home. So, hey, it's 8:30 in the morning. Even if I had nowhere to go, I would go out in the traffic and just have a good time.
Yeah, well,
I know it sounds silly. I didn't do that, but I did not mind heavy traffic because I was afraid to go too fast. Still, some of these curves are ridiculous going over the canyons. But I'm not one of those people who enjoy driving.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it either. Especially, I tell you, coming back to New York a couple of times, and coming out of the tunnel from Jersey or the bridge, but especially the tunnel, because that puts you in the middle of Manhattan, and
right.
It's kind of hairy. I mean, all of a sudden, there's traffic is like all over the place, and blowing horns.
And back in the day, there were the cabs. They break every rule in the book.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you'd be driving along, it'd be self-defense. But when I first came out to California, the freeways in Northern California were pristine. There were no potholes, virtually empty compared to the traffic melee of today. It must be every city in the country, but we've got it so bad here that the commute from the east
because it's
into San Francisco is horrible.
Well, if you look at some of those old movies set in Los Angeles in like the 1950s, there's no traffic at all on the streets. It's remarkable. And even in Manhattan, there are movies made it in the 40s that are set in Manhattan, and you look out and there's a couple of buses, there's a couple of cabs, but not the kind of bumper-to-bumper traffic that there is today. And of course, DC is just right up there with Los Angeles as just awful daily traffic.
Yeah. Hey guys, we're coming to an end. This has been fun. I so much enjoy your company. It's a look back, but not with the idea of staying back there. You guys are forward-thinking. And you can do that through your grandkids beautifully. You can see, get an idea what the youth of America is like.
I was going to tell you my Seder story. All right, I'll save it for next year.
No, go ahead.
Because Mike mentioned he just had the Seder. Yeah, Becky and I, there are a number of really nice restaurants in D.C. that do a Seder dinner without the prayers or anything. You just have the dinner. So that's what we've done the last couple of years. But when we lived in Panama, we belonged to the JWB, the Jewish Welfare Board. They had a very large, considering where we were, a very large membership. And so the one year I went to this, and they had a big Seder for a couple of hundred people. And what they did was the women of the community, the Jewish women of the community, prepared all the food. And they did this in advance, of course. And so they put they must have been using my mother-in-law's cookbook because everything went into the freezer. Remember I told you the story about everything went into the freezer? So they put all this stuff in the freezer. to Seder, so the day came for the Seder, and they had hired some waiters and stuff and people like that, preparers and also servers. And so the first course, of course, was the matzo ball soup, right? So they served everybody soup with a couple of nice-sized matzo balls in it. Only the problem was they took the matzo balls right out of the freezer and put it in the soup. So by the time they got you, it was like putting ice cubes in your soup.
Oh, my God.
And they had the Panamanians who were serving, they had no idea what they were doing. So everybody, this soup is cold. It's ice cold. So that was my funny Seder story because they didn't know what was going on.
Seder in Panama. I was talking to someone. There's a big shul in Harlem. There's positions in this world.
Yeah.
So I guess Yom Kippur or Passover in Panama, it's not all that strange.
No, and it has a nice alliterative ring to it, doesn't it? Passover in Panama.
Sounds like a nice Gershwin song.
And a movie. Maybe with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers as the rabbi and the Rebbitzin.
That's right.
We'll have to work on the music and lyrics for that song, for next week.
Well,
I've got the guy coming in with the piano just to work with it this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good.
Well, you can choose the. I don't know any music. I always regret that.
Or do I?
Well, there you go. Well, we'll have to start with the lyrics then, I guess.
Well, you guys are best with that.
Okay.
Hey,
all right.
Thanks so much. I enjoy your company, as I say, and we'll do it again next week, same time, same place.
Great. Highlight of my week. Okay.
Mine too. Thank you so much, both of you. Sei gesund. And well, if you enjoy our offerings on the network, I'm going to ask a little favor. Would you please be kind enough to box up some lightly used children's books and take them to the Head Start program in whatever community you live? Kids need to read. They need to become school ready. They need to develop a passion. They need to take their noses out of the devices. And you could do a world of good just by taking a couple of boxes of lightly used children's books is all it takes. Appreciate it. We'll be back next week. The name of the show is Bronx Roots. The station is the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. David Hubler and Michael Preminger. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and we'll see you next week. Adios.
Okay.